The oil? No, it's sweat, dripping right into my parched eyes. That BMW engine. It sounds like a starved wolf, roaring, shaking the rivets loose, shaking the marrow in my very bones. I'm sitting in a Focke-Wulf 190. Wait, that ain't right. I'm a Yank pilot. Bruce. But here I am. Every label, every dial, it's all in German. Schnell this, Achtung that. I don't know which lever stops the bleeding or which one makes us fly. Behind me? Well, those ain't my boys. Those are German guards with a real mean streak. Mausers cracking. Ping, ping. Bullets stitching little jagged holes in the fuselage right behind my head. I'm shoving the throttle. It's heavy, greasy. The vibration from 1,700 horses. It's blurring the world into a smudge of gray and green. I'm screaming at the instrument panel. Just screaming. If I don't get this bird up in 5 seconds, well, I'm going to be the first American pilot crushed by the very Nazi plane he just tried to steal. Funny how life works. Just 5 days ago, things were different. We were high, crisp blue sky, the kind of day where you feel untouchable. Then, bam, that 20-millimeter shell. It didn't just hit my Mustang, it tore her heart out. I can still taste it. That sweet, sickly smell of burning coolant hitting the hot manifold. My cockpit mask filled with thick, white smoke. Choking. The metal. It was screaming like a gut-shot animal. My girl was dying. I had to jump, kick the canopy, fall. 10,000 feet. It's cold. Real cold. Like 1,000 needles digging into your skin. I watched her, the best plane I ever flew, just fold in on herself. Boom! A fireball over Czechoslovakia. Then I hit the dirt. Hard. No the cold rifle. No chocolate rations. Nothing but the smell of scorched wool and a whole lot of Germans with dogs looking for a pilot. I was a ghost. For 5 days I was a ghost. Living on moss, and Rake. It tastes like dirt and despair. You ever eat dirt just to stop the shaking? It don't work. The hunger? It's a hole. A big black hole in your gut that just grows. I watched them from the bushes, the German mechanics, eating hot soup. I could smell the toy, the garlic, on the wind. Enough to make a man go mad. I didn't want to die in a ditch, not like a dog. If I was going to go, I wanted to go with a joystick in my hand and oil in my veins. So I crawled, through the mud, toward that airfield, toward that Focke-Wulf. She looked like a shark, waiting. I climbed in. Everything felt wrong. The leather. It smelled like sour tobacco and grease, not like home. I started flicking switches, blind, praying to a god I hadn't talked to in years. Then the engine coughed, a puff of black smoke. And then she woke up, roaring in a language I didn't understand. And that's when the shooting started. Ping, ping, ping. Real close. I'm rolling now, swerving. The grass is a blur. The hangar doors are shrinking. It's now or never, Bruce. Just 5 seconds. 5 seconds to fly. Or 5 seconds to die. Funny how a man remembers the smells first. Like that glycol. Sickly sweet like a candy shop in hell. 5 days ago could have been 50 for all the difference it makes. I was high above the Czech border, feeling like the king of the sky in my P-51. Then, crack. That 20-millimeter shell didn't just hit the fuselage. It found the heart of her. I heard the metal scream, a high-pitched tearing sound that makes your very teeth ache. Smoke, thick, oily, white smoke filled the glass. I was blind, choking. The heat, well, it crawled up from the floorboards, licking at my flight suit like it was hungry for more. You pull the release and the canopy's gone with a roar that'll leave your ears ringing for a week. Suddenly, the silence of the high sky is replaced by a 1,000-mile-an-hour gale. I'm out. tumble, tumble, and then the jolt. My harness nearly snapped my collarbone, but there I was, dangling like a puppet over a sea of pine trees. I watched her go, my Mustang, my girl. She hit the ridgeline and blossomed, that's what the brass likes to call it, into a great, ugly rose of fire. My ticket home burning in the dirt. I drifted down, heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird, hit the branches, snap, crack, and then the mud, cold. That bone-deep, damp cold that gets into your joints and stays there until the day you die. I'm standing in the middle of a forest, miles from anywhere friendly, listening for the dogs. I check my kit. No pistol, must have lost it in the jump. No K-rations, nothing but a soggy map and a whistle that felt like a joke. I'm a ghost now, a starving ghost in the middle of the Third Reich. Every snapping twig is a bullet with my name on it. The hunger. It doesn't start in your belly, it starts in your head. You start thinking about things, like the way a steak smells, or the warmth of a barracks fire back in England. But there ain't no fire for me. Just the dark, the damp, and the long walk toward a fate I couldn't see yet. I wasn't a pilot no more. I was just a man in a wetsuit of wool trying to remember how to breathe without the sound of an engine to tell me I was alive. And let me tell you, that's when the real war begins. The first night, it was the shivering. You don't just shake. Your whole body tries to turn inside out to find some heat. I huddled under a pile of pine needles, tasting the grit in my teeth. Every hour, a patrol would pass. I could hear their laughter, hear the clink of their gear. They had coffee. I could smell it. That bitter roasted scent of real coffee on the wind. I was high, chewing on a piece of bark just to have something to do with my jaw besides let it chatter. 5 days of that. 5 days of being a shadow. My boots were falling apart, soles flapping like a dead man's tongue. I'd crawl to the edge of the clearing and watch 'em, the Luftwaffe boys. They looked so comfortable, so safe. I'd see 'em working on their planes, hear the clank of a wrench on a manifold. It felt like a taunt. I was a mechanic before I was a pilot. Funny how those small things stick with you, and I knew those engines. I knew the way a BMW Radial should sound. And then I saw it, the Focke-Wulf. She was sitting there, fueled up, looking like a shark in a pen. My gut? Well, it twisted. I wasn't going to walk back to France. I'd die of hunger before I hit the border. No, I was going to fly. A crazy thought. The kind of thought that only comes when your brain is half-starved and you've got nothing left to lose. I watched the guards. I timed their steps. I was going to steal the damn Luftwaffe right from under their noses or die trying. There ain't no in-between when you're a ghost. I remember the smell of the damp earth as I pressed my face into it, watching the light change on the hangar doors. My stomach was a knot of acid and air. I hadn't seen a friendly face in 100 hours. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that orange ball of fire on the ridge. My Mustang was gone. My wings were gone. But as I watched that mechanic wipe grease off the FW-190's cowling, I knew I was still a pilot. You don't forget how to fly just because the world's trying to eat you alive. I could feel the cold seeping into my marrow, making my fingers feel like wooden pegs. I had to move soon. If I waited another night, I wouldn't have the strength to climb the ladder. Now or never. Just a man, a wet map, and the most desperate plan in the history of the 9th Air Force. Just me in the silence, and that shark made of steel waiting in the dark. 5 days. That's how long I'd been a shadow. A ghost haunting the edges of those Czechoslovakian woods. You don't know hunger until it starts talking back to you. Until your stomach ain't just empty, it's a cold, tight knot of wire pulling at your spine every time you take a breath. Every night was the same damn thing. The frost would settle on my flight suit. That wool always felt like it was made of needles once it got damp. And the lice, well, they'd start their march across my ribs. It drives a man half mad, the itch and the cold and the silence of the trees. I was Nahai, chewing on reikai. Dry roots and bits of rayu I'd scraped off the north side of the pines. Tasted like dirt. Dirt and old, wet wood. But you swallow it anyway because it tricks the belly into thinking it's still alive for another hour. My feet, they were past hurtin'. The soles of my boots had given up the ghost 3 miles back, just flappin' leather now, and every step felt like I was treading on broken glass and rusted nails. I could feel the squelch of blood and mud inside the sock, a heavy, wet sensation that never goes away, even when you're sitting still. Then the wind'd shift. You ever smell grilled sausages when you're starving to death? The Germans. They were having a grand old time at their camp near the edge of the tree line. I could see the steam rising from their mess tins, hear the clink of the spoons against the metal. A torture worse than any bullet they could have fired. That greasy, salty scent of bratwurst. It was a weapon. I sat there in the wet brush, shaking so hard my teeth were rattling, watching them laugh. They had warmth. They had life. And all I had was a whistle and a tattered map that was turning to mush in my pocket. You start thinking crazy things, thinking about walking right into the light just to ask for a bite, just one bite of that pork, but then you remember the sound of a Mauser bolt racking, the way the light reflects off a bayonet, the reality of a cold cellar in Berlin. No, I wasn't going out like that. I stood on that ridge, looking down at the Luftwaffe airfield. Busy, too busy. The birds, those Focke-Wulfs, they were sitting there on the tarmac, sleek and mean like sharks in a shallow bay, waiting for their next kill. Fuel trucks moving between them. Mechanics with their wrenches and their grease-stained rags shouting orders over the wind. I could hear the cough of an engine testing. That deep, guttural German roar that vibrates in your chest. I looked at the long, dark road back toward the west, toward our boys. Hundreds of miles of forest and patrols. A slow death. A week of crawling through the mud until my heart just stopped, out of spite. But that airfield? Well, that was a fast gamble. A quick end or a quick flight. My mind, it wasn't working right no more from the lack of salt and fat. But I knew I couldn't walk another mile on a hunk of chunt these feet. If I was going to die, I wasn't going to die in a ditch with a belly full of rayu and reikei. I was a pilot, damn it. I was going to go out in a cockpit, with the smell of high-octane fuel in my nose instead of the scent of pine needles and decay. A fool's play. A dead man's itch. I remembered the name of a girl back home. Sarah? No, Susan. Funny how the names slip away when you're starving. I looked at the FW-190 one last time. She was beautiful in an ugly sort of way. I started crawling down that hill toward the wire, moving like a snake in the grass, waiting for the searchlights to sweep past so I could find a way into that nest of hornets. I could feel the sharp bite of the gravel under my palms. Nothing left now but the smell of oil and the sound of my own hammering heart, and the hope that I could remember how to start a German engine without blowing the whole damn hangar to kingdom come. Midnight. Or maybe later. Time don't mean much when you're belly down in the grit of a Luftwaffe airfield. Bruce, he's moving slow. Real slow. Like a snake in a rock pile. The gravel, well, it's biting into his palms, making his hands bleed, but he don't feel it. Not yet. He's watching that searchlight, a big white eye sweeping the tarmac. Whoosh! Turning the puddles into silver glass. One slip, and that light catches him. One slip, and the Mausers start barking. His heart, well, It's hammering so hard against the damp earth, he's worried the German sentries can hear it over the sound of those Tiger tanks idling nearby. Those tracks, they clank and moan like rusted ghosts. The smell of diesel, no, it was more like kerosene and wet concrete. It's thick enough to choke on. He reaches the hangar, shadows everywhere. And there she is, the Focke-Wulf. She looks different up close, meaner, more, industrial. He climbs up the wing, his fingers find the latch. It's cold, biting cold, and he slips into the office. The cockpit. It smells like stale tobacco and sour sweat. The man who flew her last was probably scared too. Bruce sits there, blind. Every dial is a riddle. Labels like Farwerk and Brandhahn. It's all a blur of German letters. He closes his eyes. He has to. He's a mechanic. A grease monkey from the old days, and he starts feeling the shapes. This lever here, it's the throttle. This one, no, wait, that's the fuel cock. It's gotta be. He's sifting through the dark with his fingertips looking for the spark. He knows this plane. Well, he knows its soul, even if the words are all wrong. It's a flying coffin if he gets this wrong. Just a steel box with a BMW engine attached. He finds the hand crank, or maybe it was a toggle. I can't quite remember. His fingers are trembling, not from the cold, but from the raw, jagged edge of the fear. He grips the stick. It's heavy, solid. He takes a breath, stale air and oil, and waits for the moon to hide behind a cloud. The ground, it just drops away, leaving you hanging there between the mud and the stars. 1 second, I'm rattling across that grass runway like a tin can on a cobblestone street, and the next, well, the trees are shrinking and the world's getting real quiet except for the roar of that BMW Radial. I reached for the handle. The gear. No. It's the Farwerk lever, Bruce. Gotta remember that. And I yanked it hard. The wheels tucked themselves into the belly with a heavy, mechanical thud that I felt right in the seat of my pants. This Focke-Wulf, she ain't like my Mustang. My girl, she was a dancer, light on her feet. This thing, she's a brawler, a tank with wings. She's heavy, stubborn, and she wants to pull to the left every time I nudge the throttle. I'm looking at the dials, trying to make sense of the German script while my eyes are stinging from the sweat. Every needle is dancing like it's got the jitters. The smell, it hits you in waves. Stale, sour tobacco, industrial grease, and that faint metallic scent of high-octane fuel that's too rich for the air. It's the smell of the enemy. And then I see him. Out on the wings, those black crosses, the Balkenkreuz. Seeing that Chu-Tap-Goak on your own wings, it makes your stomach do a slow, sick roll, you know? It feels like a betrayal. Like I'm wearing a dead man's clothes. I'm heading west, due west, chasing the sun as it dips toward the horizon, looking for that golden light that means I might just make it. Nung ma. I ain't alone in this sky. Far from it. I look down and I see the German batteries. They're looking up, shield in their eyes. They see one of their own birds. Flying low, flying fast, heading the wrong way. They're confused. They don't know whether to cheer or reach for the shells. A few tracers start snaking up from the ridgeline, yellow needles of light, test in the air, looking for a piece of me. I push the throttle, feeling the heat rise from the floorboards until my feet, Nung Kai Chan, are sweating in my boots. The engine? No gamgu, it's growling. A deep, guttural sound that vibrates in my jawbone. I can feel it in the stick. A rhythmic thump, thump, thump that tells me the engine's working harder than it wants to. Funny how you can hear a machine's heart when yours is trying to jump out of your ribs. Below me, Europe's a mess. I see the shell craters, thousands of them, looking like a pox on the face of the earth. I see the skeletons of villages, Just blackened chimneys reaching up like charred fingers. It's a graveyard, and I'm flying right over the markers. My stomach? Well, it's still a knot of wire. The hunger cramps are coming back, sharp and mean, fighting the adrenaline for control of my nerves. I haven't eaten a real meal in 5 days, and now I'm chasing a sunset in a stolen shark. Then I see the lines, the front. The smoke from the big guns is hanging in the valleys like a dirty fog. And that's Kikonuk Mong Thuksu Bat Jiao. When the real nightmare starts, our boys, the Ninth Air Force, to them, well, I'm just another Jerry looking to drop 1,000 pounds of hate. The ack starts up. It ain't yellow like the German stuff, it's white. Then Nojen Ngum, it's black. Hung Bong Hoa Muk Rong. These great ugly flowers of soot and iron blooming right in front of the glass. Thump, thump, thump. Each burst shoves the plane. It's like driving a truck over a corduroy road at 80 miles an hour. I can taste the fear. It's metallic, like licking a copper penny. My eyes are burning from the oil vapor. I'm screaming at him. It's me. It's Bruce. But my voice, it's lost in the roar of 1,700 Nazi horses. I'm hedge-hopping now. Get down low. So low the leaves are scraping the belly of this bird. I'm flying through the valleys, chasing the shadows of the hills, trying to hide from the very people I'm trying to reach. I see a convoy. American trucks, deuce and a halves. I see the GIs jumping for the ditches, looking up with eyes wide as silver dollars. I can see the muzzles of their 50 cals tracking me, red tracers snaking up, looking for my fuel tanks, my own brothers, trying to send me down in a ball of fire. I'm pulling the stick, banking hard, feeling the G-forces pressing me into that sour German leather. My hands are trembling so hard I can barely hold the grip. It's the exhaustion, I guess. 5-9 enjoy. And now I'm the target for the cold rifle in France. Every battery, every rifleman, every kid with a carbine is taking a shot at the ghost in the stolen plane. The vibration, it's changing again. A new sound, a sputter, the engine swallowing its own tongue. I look at the fuel gauge, the Kraftstoff gauge, the needles bouncing on the red line. I'm flying on fumes and prayer, and the flowers are still blooming all around me. I can see the whites of their eyes in the cold rifle pits as I roar past at 200 feet. I see 'em pointing. I see the hate. I see the fire. And the worst part, the part that really sticks with you, is knowing they're right to shoot. I'm wearing the mark of the enemy. And in this sky, there ain't no room for ghosts to explain themselves, just a trail of smoke and a man holding on to a piece of steel that everyone wants to see burn. The runway, well, it's right there, just a strip of gray hope shimmering under the haze, like a mirage I ain't supposed to touch. My base, the 354th, home. But to the boys in the cold rifle pits down there, I'm just a piece of the Luftwaffe looking to die. The flak's getting thicker now, white puffs and that jagged metal, whistling past the glass. I'm reaching for the gear lever. No, forget the gear. There ain't no time for wheels, and I don't know the German word for down anyway. This bird's coming in on her belly. I cut the throttle, hear that BMW engine, give one last choked-up gasp, then nothing but the wind whistling through the bullet holes in the canopy. Brace. Just brace. The nose dips. And then the world turns into a scream of grinding steel. Screech. It's a sound that'll tear the soul right out of you. Sparks. Great orange showers of them, spraying past the glass like a hellish 4th of July. The vibration? It's rattling my teeth so hard I think they're going to shatter into the floorboards. Grinding. Sliding. The smell of scorched earth and friction burning my nose, until the shark finally stops moving and the dust starts to settle over the wings. I'm shaking so bad I can barely slide the glass back. My fingers feel like wooden pegs. I pull myself out, staggering onto the wing. And I'm looking right into the muzzles of a dozen M1 Garands. My boys, my own brothers. And they're looking at me like I'm a demon wearing a Nazi skin. My hands are up, greasy, black hands, looking like I spent a week digging my own grave in a coal mine. I try to speak, but my throat's just a desert of dust and old oil. Don't shoot. It comes out as a croak, weak, a sergeant, big fella with a scar on his chin. He squints at my tattered Yank flight suit under the layers of engine grease and forest mud. He lowers his piece, slow. Then the rest of them follow. Silence, just the tick-tick-tick of the hot metal cooling in the French air. I just sit down, right there on the tarmac. My legs ain't working no more. They've given up the ghost. A kid from the mess, can't be more than 18, he runs up and hands me a sandwich. Stale bread, cold, salty meat. I start chewing. Nigh. And it's like I'm tasting life for the very first time. I'm sitting there, nigh slow, watching the smoke curl off those black crosses, those Balkenkreuz on the wings. I'm home. They're cheering now, slapping my back. But I'm just looking at that plane. 5-9 in joy. 5 days of eating dirt. And I brought back a souvenir. My stomach's full, but my head's still back in those woods. I made it out. Yeah, but that smell, that thick, sour scent of German engine grease and high-octane hate, it's in my pores now. It's under my fingernails. I can wash the mud off. I can change the suit. But I think I'm going to be smelling that Focke-Wulf until the day they put me in the ground. Just me, the stale sandwich, and the ticking of a stolen engine fading into the quiet.